What about scale of investment? Would you be open to, at a certain level, at a scale of investment, lifting parts of it, or it's not something that you're...
Well, the PEZA law allows 100% foreign to locate in the Philippines, and I think that is the way to go. If we can have more PEZA zones for industry, manufacturing, IT zones with as small as 1 hectare, you can set up, and even agri-PEZA zones of at least 20 hectares and up. This will allow 100%. You can have the Chinese, the Israeli, or the Singaporeans come here 100%, just go to the PEZA zone and locate themselves. And they have so many tax perks, 5% of gross.
From Vince Andrade
Yeah.
on Facebook, he says if you win, amendyahan niyo ang isang part ng Constitution na nagbabawal sa foreign troops at foreign bases dahil si President Aquino wanted to bring back the U.S. bases in Clark and Subic. Why or why not?
I think we don't have to amend the Constitution. I think the President and the present leaders are quite satisfied, because if you open up just that part on foreign troops, you will open up everything else. How can you control it?
Correct.
So you'll be in deeper, complex difficulties. I think foreign troops might have to be allowed in within limits. There are a lot of new opportunities for us to strengthen our own armed forces. In fact, they had this Balikatan last week, which has enhanced the capability of our armed forces. I don't know why we are afraid of such foreign troops. They have contained the Abu Sayyaf in Mindanao during the maybe 10, 12 years ago.
Yes, yes.
They went after Abu Sabaya and he got zapped. And to me, it's important we continue our partnership with whether they're Americans, they're Malaysians, or Australians, as long as they respect our local laws.
Sovereignty.
That's the basis here, sovereignty.
From at Ben Mooney, what is your legislative agenda for the Philippine environment?
For the environment,
Yes.
we have good laws on the environment. It is the implementation of these laws. We have the Clean Air Act, we have the Solid Waste Management Act, we have Clean Air Act. It's just the implementation. So it's toughness on the part of the local government and DNR and all the rangers that we have. We are always steeped on having a problem facing us and saying we need a law. I think we should look at the laws that are existing. They're good laws, but we have to revisit the IRR, implementing rules and regulation, because this is where the nitty-gritties happen. The IRR can be actually a third law, which is goes far beyond the original intent of the original measure, because the thing is to simplify it and make it as doable as possible without all the bells and whistles.
Do you think that in the process of making laws, as a senator,
Yeah.
have things changed?
Well, it's more complex because there's so many laws now. I would think roughly that there must be about 35,000 laws, and I don't even think that one half are being implemented. There is a law that we passed with then Congressman Luis Villafuerte of Congress on handline fishing, and this was about 2005, almost 8 years ago. Up to now, the IRR is not yet being done. In the meantime, the handline fishing industry in the south, in Jensan,
Yes.
in Mindanao, they're suffering because there's so many red tape. I think if you look at the laws, the thing to do is to go over the red tapes and bureaucracy that has been developed through the years and
Correct.
try to simplify again.
Isn't there even an anti-red tape law?
There is, yeah. In fact, last week there was a study that over 150 government agencies are so much heavy with red tape that it's suffocating and stifling.
What about things, the age-old problems like corruption? How would you gauge the way we've progressed?
All right. Maybe use less cash and more checks, disbursements. During our Basilan Lamitan, the time when Gracie Burnham was kidnapped,
Yes.
there was a hearing about the armed forces.
Yes.
having worked with the Abu Sayyaf.
Well, at that point,
Yeah, there
the
was a
Burnhams
crash.
were inside, and the
Right,
only way to
right.
get out was through a corridor. And the
Yeah.
allegation is that the
military was
military
conchavas,
was in
no? They're in
cahoots
cahoots.
with the Abu Sayyaf.
But
yeah.
I don't think so. But what happened was, a general was observed that he had a big satchel with a lot of cash.
Yes.
But the thing is, when you go to the field, you pay your men cash because there are no ATMs then.
Yes.
So what do we do? So it's just more strict accounting, more proper handling, and lessen the cash floating around from the platoon or even bigger brigade level among soldiers.
Do you think the level of corruption, though, has gone up or down? Has it improved?
I think it's hard to guess. I think people are now more aware that we have used the anti-money laundering law to go after the former Chief Justice. Maybe he did not know that he had to declare his salen, but then he's a Chief Justice. He has to know. He had to know. But that can be used for others. Now the downside is it can be used against the opposition. So there must be some kind of third party that is objective, if there's such a thing,
Right.
and to just isolate its office from political intervention and just look at the essence of KYC, know your customer, knowing, I mean, if you're an ice cream vendor and your average account is maybe 4,000, 3,000, suddenly you have 50,000 in your account, there's like a ringing bell. What happened to it?
Yes.
So it's like KYC. And in every bank, there is already a anti-money laundering vice president to oversee this.
Fantastic. Most Filipinos say, why should we care about these elections? It's only midterm. It's not the presidential elections. Why
Yeah.
should they care? Why should they vote this time around?
Well, you're looking at the president who is halfway his 6-year term. He has 3 more years to go. If we are happy with what he's been doing, we have to fortify him, give him the mandate in 2013 so that he can even be stronger on the second and last half. And besides that, you have to look at who will take over from him. Because if we get somebody who's, again, a loser, then we lose, we backslide. So between now and 2013, we must have in the horizon some young, strong and very moral potential leader who might take over from him, and that's what we're looking at. Of course, you have so many names floating, but eventually the people will seek the right one, and that's why we have to follow through. It's like when Jesus Christ was crucified, there was Saint Peter to go through and maintain the church. So it's a political leadership.
There's a lot changing right now. It's a time of disruption,
Yes.
technology, a lot more young people coming up to vote. What is your strategy for getting the vote? How are you going to convince them?
That's a big issue because I'm part of the senior generation. I don't think we're even 20%, no, 60 and up. But given that last time I ran was 2001,
Yes.
and last year I served was 2007, I'm sure during those 11 years, a lot of people in their 30s who were politically aware had already been exposed to what I had been doing. So it's simply even better that there is the internet, there's the Google search, the Yahoo, and so many other search engines that you can say, who's this Ramon Magsaysay Jr.? Let me know more about him.
Yes.
And you don't have to go to anybody. It's all there laid out. That is the beauty of the internet. So just like Rappler, you can see that you have so much content there, and somebody can just come in and say, let's see what happens on the Supreme Court decision on regarding the COMELEC. And it's so convenient, it's so fast, it's so up to date, and it's just wonderful. So knowledge is just there.
My last question, sir.
Yes.
There's a lot changing. Security issues, where
Yes.
in 2015 the Philippines will become part of the ASEAN Economic Community, which then can bring lots of other concerns labor flows. Your vision, what is your vision now, and how will you make it happen?
Well, my vision is to make this country among the top one-third of the region. In the 60s, we were number 2 to Japan. This was 50 years ago. Now we're at the bottom. Even Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand have gone ahead of us. And that is a crying shame because we have a good society. We have good people who are professionals, disciplined, and they can make private enterprise work well. In fact, they're being grabbed at by multinationals all over the world. So what happens? What's the difference? I think it is morality in public service. I think it's vision. I think it's putting a bunch of good people together and saying, what do we want out of our country? So the vision is, let's see, what are our natural resources? It's not just financial capital. You have human capital. That is the most important. We have that. We want our population to be healthier, to be better educated, to be optimistic, to be trained well, disciplined, and to just comply with global standards. Punctuality, hard work, cleanliness, optimism, and continuous work. And I wish that Filipinos will read, because a lot of Filipinos just watch the TV, and it's fine. But if you watch the whole time, you should have maybe an hour a day or even 45 minutes a day to watch, to read, and whether online or newspaper or whatever, they should read, because that's what gives you the depth and the imagination.
On the internet, where I know I said last question, but
Yes,
just
yes.
to follow up on that one, greater information also has led to rising cynicism.
Yes.
We've seen it on the internet. The people who are constantly online tend to be a little more cynical than the people who don't have that much information. How do you, again, you've seen it all, how do you not become cynical? How can you fight cynicism?
That's a very true condition. I think the more well-read society, intelligent